It's that beautiful time in the summer when Jon Rothstein is making his rounds, Cart. He is awoken from his May slumber and is now making trips all across America to see all the best college basketball programs. He was at UConn this week. I know that because I saw all of Jon Rothstein's UConn tweets, and I'm not ashamed to say this, Cart. I have alerts on for Jon Rothstein tweets these days because I like seeing his real time updates when he goes to the campus. He had quite a few from his trip to UConn. We can kind of address all of them here, but there's one big quote I want to get to that's kind of becomes like a do you buy this or not? And it's about UConn's skill and their shooting ability. Do you want to jump right into that big quote, or do you want to kind of work through all of Rothstein's tidbits from his trip to stores?
Let's walk through all the tidbits first.
Let's do some tidbits. Okay. So, and I think he put an article out with like 5 questions with Dan Hurley also. I haven't looked at that yet, but I assume it's great and everyone should go read it. So, shout out to Jon Rothstein. Go follow him. The first tidbit from Rothstein: Solomon Ball shining in practice, taking and making shots from different areas of the court. He's a wild card to watch for, along with Michigan transfer Terrace Reed. Before we actually address any of these, I just kind of want to read through Rothstein's timeline, and we can kind of take it all in first. He also said he's impressed with Hassan Diarra's contested shot making. A glue guy, knows what he's good at and knows what he's not. This is the big quote. This has a chance to be Dan Hurley's best shooting team at UConn. Tailor-made for the Huskies' inverted offensive concepts, floor spacers in a major way. Liam McNeely, Alex Caravan, and Aiden Mahaney. Isaiah Abraham, promising freshman, would not be shocked if he had moments along the lines of what Jalen Stewart looked like last year. All of that together, and then you add it up, and he gives us his starting five prediction. The early Jon Rothstein prediction for UConn's starting five: Hassan Diarra, Aiden Mahaney, Liam McNeely, Alex Caravan, and Samson Johnson at center. So if I have that all correct, Cart, Solomon Ball looks awesome. Terrace Reed could be one to watch. Let's see. Where was the other one? Isaiah Abraham. Lots of promise. Just none of those guys are in the starting lineup because Slamson Johnson and Hassan Diarra and the shooters are too good. So kind of all over the place there, but okay, sure. Maybe the takeaway is just UConn's incredible. What do you make of all of this?
Well, I think the one big takeaway and the one thing that we wanted to talk about out of all these tidbits was like this being the best UConn shooting team. And you go through some of the previous year's teams, right? And obviously they had shooters, like Cam Spencer was a shooter. Even in previous years before that, like Jordan Hawkins was a shooter. Even the likes of Joey California and Alex Caravan, the former or the earlier version of himself, were able to knock down shots. But this is a very unique and special team because like there's a world, even in a world that I think you foresee, where like Aiden Mahaney is around like 39%, 38% on like high volume and maybe some tougher shots. And McNeely's knocking down 40%. Caravan's knocking down near 40%. And given that with, the point guard abilities they had, like even if Hassan Diarra does not like maybe take a step or work out to the level what maybe you think he's gonna be, you got a guy like Solomon Ball that can come off the bench. And then you have if what Rothstein is saying is true, then like UConn's bench should be really good as well. Like if they have these young guys just coming into the fold off the bench. But I think I might buy this team as like the best Dan Hurley's best shooting team. Like is that actually fair to say?
It is. Yeah. A couple years ago, they had Alex Caravan, who's still on the team, and they had Jordan Hawkins. That would be my question: is like, who's Jordan Hawkins on this team? Like, do you have a shooter that is that dynamic? Now, maybe
Are you saying dynamic or someone to shoot the ball that well?
kind of both, right? Like, I guess Liam McNeely could be this, and by the end of this video, maybe I'll conclude that. But I think like there's great shooting team because you have so many guys that can shoot. And then there's great shooting team because you have like two guys who don't miss.
Right.
You know what I
Like
mean?
Jordan Hawkins In that second year, they won the ring. He shot 39% from three on over 7.5 attempts a game.
And those attempts were flying around.
Yeah,
Like he was the best shooter in the country that year.
right.
So I'm not saying that that's wrong to say this year's team might be a step forward in shooting, but they don't have a individual shooter that I view on the level of like this guy's going to get drafted specifically for his shooting ability and how dynamic it is. Now the counter to that would be the reason this team is better than that team at shooting is because Andre Jackson played on that team and Andre Jackson was a non-shooter. Now they also had Calcaterra off the bench, and there were lineups you could put out there of like Newton, Hawkins, Caravan, Calcaterra. I would say that lineup is probably more impressive from a shooting perspective than anything that includes Hassan Diarra and Samson Johnson. But the point is, Caravan, Mahaney, McNeely is going to be one of the best, if not the best, shooting wing trios in the sport, right? At a 2-3-4, you're not going to get much more shooting than that. Now, we also haven't seen McNeely. We got to see what he is. At the prep level, he was one of the best shooters in the country. So I expect him to be perfect. Is he going to be like Caleb Houston? Caleb Houston was a good, not great shooter. So, like, and the projection was pretty much the same, right? Like, top 10-ish level guy who's just a shooter. Okay. Like, go. There's a difference between like 34% and 45%. I don't know. He could be anywhere on that spectrum. We know Caravan's incredible, and we think Mahaney's going to be really good. At least I do. But yeah, I don't know. I think they don't have the one super dynamic NBA shooter. Maybe that's McNeely, and I just haven't seen it yet. But like, do you think McNeely could kind of serve as the Hawkins on this team?
I think it would have to be McNeely because he is the guy who would be the NBA player, right? Like he's the guy with the size and the shooting ability. Mahaney, though he is a shooter, is I guess you would consider undersized because he's probably like what 6'2", 175.
Yeah.
Like he's a little on the lighter end, right? Jordan Hawkins was 6'5", 190, right? So like even though he was a little bit lankier, like he had size, long arms. So I think it would have to be McNeely, the guy who steps up and be kind of that, I guess if you want to make a Jordan Hawkins role. But I think to your point, collectively, the shooting of the 2 through 4 position is one that I don't think you have seen in the past with UConn teams.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. So the other thing here is the projected starting lineup. Again, Rothstein picked out three like breakout performers from what he saw in practice that didn't include guys in the starters. So I think a fair conclusion here is UConn's going to be extremely deep and have maybe different starting lineups, maybe 8 or 9 different guys that can play. Samson Johnson is starting over Terrace Reed. Any thoughts on that? Should we conclude anything from that at this point, or am I
I
not
think
allowed to take a victory lap yet?
I don't think you're allowed to take a victory lap just yet.
Just because
Because this
Rothstein
this
says,
this might be out of a respect towards Samson
mm,
play.
okay. Or it could also possibly be that Terrace Reed is just like a backup center on any decent team, and that was obvious at the time, and maybe you should have looked for a starting center.
There's a world where that can happen, yes.
That could be. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I like if my team only brought in 2 transfers and one of them was a center who's supposed to like sort of replace Donovan Clingan, I would want to hear that guy's starting and not Samson, the career backup, who's a great career backup, but like I would hope that was in the plans, and for whatever reason, it's probably not right now, which I think is what I've been screaming all along, all offseason. I think that was a missed opportunity. Diarra at point, that one's obvious. We all thought that would happen, but like, I guess I'm just like, if Isaiah Abraham and Solomon Ball look that good, is there just no room? It's like, sorry guys, wait another year. Like,
Either wait another year or we're monitoring. Like if Diarra's
okay,
struggling, like we got you in the fold. Also, there's one thing you're forgetting here, Greg. There's a reason why Hurley got Terrace.
ah,
It's a chip on the shoulder move. It's not fun. It's not fun to get like a Cliff, a
No,
Ballo. It's like that picture, like it's broken, but could be fun to fix.
it's a watch me win a national championship with Terrace Reed move.
Yeah.
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 I mean, there's no bigger power move than that. That would be special. All in all, with all of these Rothstein updates, do you feel better or worse about UConn at the end of this?
Actually, I think I feel better.
Okay. I feel better. I
I
do
think I
feel
feel
better.
better. Yeah.
I feel better, and I feel reinforced in everything I already believed about UConn, which was like they're going to be hella deep. Terrace Reed's not a starter. Aiden Mahaney's going to be awesome. I think all of that has been reinforced, and I like it. Car, you know what I love about you?
That I'm handsome?
You're reliable. I can count on you. Honestly, you remind me of Aaron Henry a little bit. Remember when, like, their back was against the wall, nothing was going right, and man just showed up every day. He didn't make excuses. There were no problems, there were just solutions.
Sounds like me.
That's you. And it also reminds me of Duncan Mechanical Solutions, because if you're looking for quality furnace repair, look no further than the heating and air experts that you can trust. Comfort and quality are their standard. They're an HVAC company that serves Northeast Indiana and Southern Michigan, whether it's heating and air conditioning, plumbing, kitchen and bath remodeling, or emergency services when you need them most. Duncan Mechanical Solutions has reliable service that you can count on. Cart, remember when your basement almost exploded?
I remember when my basement almost exploded. I remember when my furnace itself was acting funny. I remember when my AC was acting funny. I wish I had Duncan in my back pocket. I wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been anywhere in northern Indiana or southern Michigan that hasn't been perfectly cool or perfectly warm, depending on when the day called for. And that's because of Duncan Mechanical Solutions. They are the presenting sponsor for the month of July. Shout out to Duncan Mechanical Solutions. Go to duncanmechanicalsolutions.com to learn more.